Welcome back to Tucson, Arizona, the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club for the WPH Race 4-8. It's Ruiz Cordova, who was just on the court playing four-wall small ball men's quarterfinals, finds himself here in the semifinals of the big ball. Dave, what is the difference between the small ball and this, what they call big ball?
Well, the small ball moves a little bit faster. It's harder and smaller. You can put more spin on the ball with the small ball. You can also dominate a game with the serve with the small ball. And big ball, the serve is really just a way to put the ball in play. It doesn't really give you much of an advantage. And there's different types of swings for both games. You see more stiff arm swings with the big ball because you want to actually make your hand like a paddle and hit it like you have a paddle in your hand, as opposed to letting the ball run through your hand like you would with the heavier ball, the small ball. The ball comes off the side walls differently. When it would come off 90 degrees with the small ball, it'll come off at a huge angle with the big ball. It'll always come straight off the back wall with the big ball, as opposed to following the spin that the small ball would take.
Okay, so the ball itself, the origins, some people are a little bit confused here. Why would players play with what I believe is a racquetball compared to the traditional hard small ball?
Well, the racquetball, or the big blue, has gained a lot of prominence on the coast in Southern California and New York City, where there's a lot of outdoor play, and players really learn how to play and fall in love with the big ball because it's so inexpensive. A ball is $1 and it'll last you for a year or more, and doesn't really hurt your hands, and it's easier to pick up than the small ball. You can take a beginner in the court with the big ball, and he or she can actually start rallying right from the outset, as opposed to the small ball, which is a much larger learning curve.
Right.
So, you know, you may only have 1 out of 1,000 people that could go into the court and rally with the small ball on their first attempt. Most would take 6 months to a year before they were really able to keep the ball in, just because of how the ball bounces. It bounces so high, the ball is so hard, there's a lot of spin to the ball. But for the most part, Dave, you see guys that are good with one ball, and they're usually good with the other ball too. They might not be the very best with both, but you'll see the best with the big ball are also highly skilled with the small ball as well, and you take the best small ball guys, and most of them are very good with the big ball.
Right. So here you have 2 small ball and 2 big ball players. They play both of these sports very well.
Yeah, I would say Shorty plays more big ball than Ruiz Cordova, but Ruiz grew up playing a game in Mexico with a bigger ball. Not exactly this big ball, but a form of the big ball. So he's used to this. And he also can adapt because he's played a lot of different versions of handball. He's played the 2-wall in Mexico. He plays the 4-wall small ball tour. He's played 3-wall very well, 1-wall.
Players here now trying to get the referee, who's being held off to the side, being instructed on some new rules, and there's some to make sure that the players know, referee not so much on that. So that's why they're standing around asking when the start time is.
Well, the start time was 8 minutes ago.
The referee is Richie Omar Estrella. Now, Dave, for those also that don't know, the last game, the server is the only one who gets the point, but why would the returner also get a point in what they call rally scoring?
Well, it makes for a much faster game, and that's traditionally the way the big ball players play, which is all points count, so that you see the games move very quickly. We see average games of between 6 to 8 minutes, and you see a lot less hinders with the big ball because you can play through a lot of different types of congestion with the way the big ball bounces, and it's a little bit slower. An average small ball match, Dave, you'll see 5 to 8 hinders called in an average big ball match, less than 1 hinder per game. That's according to Gene Kastner, who's doing the stats here from Portland this week. We've heard Shorty interviewed earlier today, Dave, saying that he prefers the small ball, but do you think he's a better big ball player than small ball player,
Yeah,
Dave?
I do, but he said he still likes it better.
Yeah.
2 serving 0.
No, the score is 3. I don't think our referee knows that it's rally scoring.
Point.
And I don't think he does.
3 serving 0.
And you'll find that out once Ruiz Cordova gets a side out.
Wow, that's an amazing get from Cordova, who's been on the court now for quite some time.
Point.
He's starting to show some effects. That was a very hard match he just played against Sean Lenning.
4 serving 0.
Ruiz is dangerous from up front, but he hasn't showed it to us yet. No screen call. Big ball players also don't call a lot of screens, Dave. Why is that?
Right out.
And here's where the controversy is going to start. Now, how many players are going to look up toward the ref here? The referee was getting those instructions, and there it is.
So the score actually, Dave, should be 1-5, now 6-1. Don't know if we're going to make those corrections, but we probably should. That's the rules.
Well, players are not. Yeah, see, referee, now here's where it is.
You already stirred the ball. You can't. 4 serving 0.
He scored a point. It's rally score.
It's a rally score.
Yeah, here we go.
That's why the last point you stole a point away from me.
Score 6-1. It's rally score. Rally score. 6-1.
Sorry, dude. Try to give you a point to that.
Thank you. The score is 6 serving 1.
Now it's cleared out.
Point.
And Dave, I know that you pulled up the rules for the Race for 8 tour just a few minutes ago,
Score
but
7 serving
players
1.
and referees also emailed the rules for this specific event, which clearly states rally scoring in big ball. In the very first line, I believe.
It's a point. Scores 2 serving 7.
Maybe we should go back to the telegram. Don't know that our social media posts are
Point.
getting the attention that they deserve. I don't know about you, Dave, but when I'm
Scores 8 serving 2.
traveling to do something or being paid to do something, I like to know what I'm getting myself into. I like to know the rules.
I kind of do too.
Yeah.
And so, oh, by the way,
Point.
I mean, otherwise, why even make a plane ticket? Just go to the airport and just,
It's 9
I'd
serving
like to-
2.
you know, hope that you have a plane that goes here.
Point.
Ruiz Cordova defeated Sal Duenas yesterday in a tiebreaker in the
10
big ball
serving 2.
quarterfinals. Sal has defeated Shorty before in big ball 4-wall, but handball is not always transitive,
Point.
although I know you think it is, Dave.
It's 11 serving 2.
I don't think it's transitive, but I think there's some transitive qualities. I think there's times when you can kind of use it. I know that's a nice dig right there from Cordova, who's not going to get the next one, but I believe sometimes there's transitive qualities, and those that seed tournaments use those transitive qualities in order to find out who should be placed where in a draw. It might not be transitive, but
I think you can use the transitive property to your advantage as a player if you're going into a match and saying, well, he beat him and I beat him, so therefore I'm,
right.
you know.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Okay.
the part of the game that I think is transitive, is that it kind of opens the door just a little bit to help seed a tournament,
13,
sometimes
32.
judge where a player is currently at. Cordova's just lacking all type of interest right now.
Well, energy. Once your legs go, Dave,
14, serving 2.
not able to do much, and he looks like he's having a hard time even bending.
But earlier you said you thought it would benefit Luis to go from that other match into this one because that's sort of how he's been programmed, but it doesn't seem like it's helping
3,
much.
serving 14.
Why?
Do you think it could be an emotional letdown from where that other match got a little chippy with one of his close friends?
Yeah, I think certainly, but I also feel like the last match was a sprint. I mean, he was playing as hard as he could on every single shot for 35 or 40 minutes, and it took, I think, everything out of him. And Dave, I know you played in tournaments where you just gave it everything that you possibly had, and you just felt like, I just can't ever do this again. And to be back on the court 5 minutes later, it's, I think, almost impossible. You know, sometimes as a handball player, you play a match and you might not be able to play again for 2 weeks. You're so burned out and tired.
14.
But now Luis Cordova's starting to score some points.
Yeah, well, he knows right now that if Shorty Ruiz here scores that one last point, he wins game number 1.
6, serving 14.
So he has to win right here. He has to score all of these points. And it's over. And just like that, it's
15.
rather fast. And we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. I want you to stick around. More handball here on ESPN3, the Watch ESPN app. For Dave Fink, I'm Dave Vincent. We'll have game 2 coming up next to the semifinals, Big Ball Division, Men's Pro, here at the Tucson Memorial.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
What happened to Vegas? When did a bottle of booze become a mortgage payment and a pool chair a privilege? When did it fill up with $100 hamburgers, designer denim, velvet ropes, and popped collars? It's about time the real people take a stand and take Vegas back right here, right now. Are you with me?
Sign the Every Manifesto at takevegasback.com. $7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year, I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Now, when you take the ultimate leap of faith from the top of the stratosphere, you could be our 200,000th sky jumper. An extreme adrenaline rush is just the beginning. You could win a 7-day Mexican cruise, a 3-night stay at Stratosphere, and a Take Vegas Back party package. Put sky jump at the top of your bucket list. Book your jump now at the Stratosphere. Visit stratospherehotel.com for details.
And we are back here for game number 2. Tucson Racket and Fitness Club. It's the men's semifinals, big ball. Lower bracket, Shorty Ruiz wearing the darker, almost purple shirt. Light Carolina blue with Luis Cordova, who we've grown to know and love here on this broadcast since he's dominated the last 2 hours or so. And it is not normal for
bad bounce.
Not normal for the players
Ceiling.
to play back-to-back matches here on ESPN, but it just worked out that way in the draw. Don't think a lot of people felt that Cordova was going to make it this far. And that's a testament to how good his whole tournament has been to this point. Both in small ball and big ball, might be the best combined performance that we've seen since Sean Lenny at the crossover in Venice.
So point, side out.
Shorty's so nonchalant. He's sort of the Sean Lenny of big ball.
1 serving 3.
Making these crazy little flop shots. Makes it look easy too.
Point. Two serving 3.
Boy, Cordova just really laid into that shot. Now tied at 3, putting a little bit more effort into it is Cordova.
Dave, we're going to welcome in top big ball pro, Fab 4 member, and also pretty proficient small ball player, Sal Duena. Sal, thanks for joining us here in the booth.
4 serving 3.
No problem.
Now, you played Luis Cordova last night, lost to him in a tiebreaker in the big ball singles quarterfinal. What was it that he did so well last night to overcome you, who's clearly one of the top 5 indoor big ball players on the planet?
I mean, he was pretty gassed out in the game. We both were,
4
but
serving 4.
had an earlier injury in my middle finger on my right hand, which wasn't letting me hit the ball as nice as firm as I wanted to. So not sure if he even realized that he kept serving to my right.
5 serving 4.
But at the end of the day, I mean, he outplayed me, and I couldn't get the game on my side. So I mean, I give him credit for that.
But Sal, don't you play a lot of games with just one hand back home because you get pickup matches? Shouldn't you have been more comfortable trying to?
I mean, from before the whole match started, I was pretty much playing favoring one hand anyway.
Yeah.
So it took me down to the tiebreaker, and
6
I mean, he had a little more gas than I did. I think yesterday's match at 8:15 would have been nice to play today, since my first match today is until 3 o'clock. So, I mean,
no courts, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have made more sense, but just there's no excuses.
4.
He played great.
Is 8:15 too late to play a handball match at nighttime? I see football games going on at 8, 9.
No, it's good, but with 3 or 4 hours of sleep, it seemed a lot later. It seemed like I was playing at midnight.
So no excuses except your finger. The match was too late, and you only had 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
When I went in the game, I went in prepared to try to win. So I mean, I didn't feel like there was any excuse.
Now, Shorty Ruiz, who looks like he's about to go on here and win this match, is a guy you beat indoors and outdoors.
Yeah.
Sal, I know that you guys kind of have a rivalry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think if Luis would have played like yesterday, like he did yesterday, the game would have been around 12, 13 to 15 in these games versus Shorty. I think he's just a little gassed out with Sean, and as you can see there, his shot fell short.
10 serving 4.
And Shorty's just playing strategic, real calm. And
That's a great shot from Luis, who's really developed that left hand, which was maligned somewhat when he was a rookie, just a 19 or 20-year-old a couple years ago. Come back now a couple years later, Sal, and he's got a beautiful left, much like yourself.
I saw he had some really nice flat-footed standing up shots versus Sean with the left.
So what does it mean to you to be able to come to this event? It's the Tucson Memorial, also the Junior WPH benefit. I know that you're a WPH pro, member, donor, coach, kind of do it all when you come to the events, but you must just love having the opportunity to see all these different forms of handball and great players.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nice to see all these crossovers and, you know, like Stephen Cooney playing and Johnny Gillespie's playing big ball. You know, they just won a game yesterday, which was really outstanding for them.
We even saw Ryan Bowler from Canada play, and he did fairly well. I was pretty impressed with his results.
I mean, every year I come and with these crossovers, I see something that I've never seen before, you know?
Katrina Casey even played big ball in the men's B.
Right, and I mean, I never thought I'd have a chance to even play against her, and only with WPH, I mean, to have a chance to play against her.
Beautiful shot to close it out. There is Shorty Ruiz with that little flop. He said he takes his right wrist, and we'll look at it in slow motion. Sal, you can kind of explain what happens here, but he says he makes his hand as loose as possible, does not make it tight. And he said a lot of players will tighten their hand like a paddle on that shot, and that's what ruins the shot. It can still be effective, but he said he kind of goes kind of a limp wrist, he said.
Juan Santos does that too as well.
And we'll see if we can see it here on this
flick of the wrist.
instant replay. Explain a little bit what Shorty does right here.
It seemed like he just kind of like not topped it, but just like sliced it kind of so that it dies a little bit. If you look at it, he just sliced it on the right side of the ball.
And so what he's trying to do is take a ball that would normally come back to about the short line and make sure it doesn't even come back to.
He slows the momentum of it really badly. So when it cuts, it's like cutting it, and it hits, it just like dies really right away.
Well, it died, and so did the hopes of Luis Cordova in the big ball singles in the men's semifinals here at the WPH Tucson Memorial. It's a tournament where we honor, Sal, those that have fallen, that have passed away, that are part of the handball community, not just Tucson, Arizona, but also for those that have been, you know, some of our closest friends and communities around the world. And Sal, I know there's a recent passing down in your neck of the woods with Tom Gilbert at the U.S. Open here. Dennis Healy passed away. It was sort of our Tom Gilbert at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club. And Al Cuevas, you might remember that name. And, you know, there's so many that have really affected the lives of the handball players in such a positive way and you know, that's what this tournament's all about, to kind of honor the life. It's more of a celebration of that life. Let's go to Kara Mack, who is courtside with Shorty Ruiz now. Kara?
Courtside, congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you take away from that one?
I knew he was tired, so I took advantage of that because I knew he wasn't going to reach or run for the ball, so that was my advantage. That's what the game I went in with, and it worked out.
How were you able to do that?
Just move the ball around, hit it past him, make sure he had been down for it, and he couldn't do any of that. So,
what do you find is your biggest strength in this game?
My kill shots. I serve and shoot. You know, it's an advantage. A lot of people like rallying, and I really don't.
And what's something you think you can work on? There you say the rally. Is there anything else?
My ceiling and my back wall game. That's what.
Taking the game from indoors or outdoors to indoors here, how has that changed for you?
It's the pass shots, you know, it's more of a rally. When they pass you have an advantage because of the back wall. And three wall, you know, once it passes you, it's out of your reach.
It's somewhat nice to go from the Vegas and Los Angeles where it was super hot to being in here at indoors.
Oh, it's awesome, you know. The heat, something else. In here, it's amazing.
You can just walk out there and get the heat.
Right? Yeah.
All right, congratulations, Shorty. Back to you guys.
Shorty seems to have the right idea of playing against Luis Cordova. Hit it so he has to reach for it and can't run to it. That seems like a good strategy no matter who your opponent is, if you can do it. And he did it very well there in that match. Sal, our next men's semifinal coming up here is Juan Santos, who's a good friend of yours, and also Rudy Cruz, both guys from the OC traveling across the desert, and they meet here for a spot in the final.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, 2-3 years ago, we carpooled, and I picked both of them up specifically both of them. We brought them here. And yesterday, I brought Rudy here, and I was going to bring Juan, but he came with somebody else at the last minute. So to see them both here, I mean, I think this is one of the number one matches for today out of this whole big ball portion of it.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Definitely is.
It reminds me, Sal, of how you introduced the WPH to Tom Flores a couple of years ago. When I know that you brought Juan and Rudy with you a couple of years ago, just like you introduced Tom, and he's become one of our greatest assets here, as you know. He's incredible running the desk and running these tournaments. So, Sal, I want to thank you for that. And Dave, we're going to take a quick break here as we get set for our next match, which is going to be a great one, Sal. Like you said, maybe you'll stick around and chat with us about this one. We'd love to have you. So for Dave Fink, Dave Vincent, and Sal Duenas, and the rest of our amazing crew that's bringing this incredible coverage, you stay tuned. We'll see you in a bit.